Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the August 14th meeting of the Dover Area School Board. If you would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mrs. Benko, could we have the roll call, please?
Mrs. Britton? Here. Mr. Cook?
Here.
Mr. Deschaux?
Here.
Mr. DeLauder?
Here.
Mr. Eifert?
Here.
Mr. Emig?
Here.
Mrs. Herman?
Here.
Mrs. Maley? Here. Mr. Rawhauser?
Here.
All members are present.
Okay, we'll move right into our presentations and celebrations. Tonight we have Mr. Benton with a STEM mission and vision presentation.
Yep.
Can you hear me? No. I have a few of our district STEM committee members here, and if they can come sit up front. Because without these people, I wouldn't be standing here presenting. They've done a lot of hard work for us. You all right? So in the 17-18 school year, we formed a district STEM committee team, and this is half the team. The other members aren't here. We have Matt Spar, Matt Lozinski, Wendy Bear, Samantha Barnes, Jessica Brenner, Jordan Smith, Jessica Furman, and Jeff Judy. So all 6 buildings were representative on our district STEM team. And I have to admit that they've done this on their own time. We did it pretty much all our meetings by Zoom video conference. The only time we were together as a group is when we went and we enrolled in the LIU Carnegie STEM Excellent Pathway Program, where we had the meetings at the LIU building. So that's the only time we were ever together in a room together to discuss. All the other times we did the video conferencing, which worked out wonderful. They did a nice job at different times of the day, whether it be early morning or late afternoons after school. Okay. So the Carnegie STEM Excellent Pathway, it was 3 days of training at the LIU, and we learned the model for STEM and how to properly analyze our STEM education in our district. The Carnegie criteria was we looked at teacher qualifications and development, curriculum, instructional practices, assessments and demonstration of skills, family engagement, and real-world connections. So that's the criteria that we used when we looked at our own district. What we found from the analysis is the district had pockets of STEM activities taking place all over. There was no STEM activities that were formalized or consistent between each building. That was very evident. And teacher STEM qualification, knowledge and development varied across district. We had some teachers in the district that were STEM certified now in their graduate programs, and some that knew nothing. So we were on both ends of the spectrum. One thing we did learn, even as disconjointed as we were as a district, there was 11 other districts at the LIU, but I could say we are farther along in our STEM education than any of those other districts that were there. They were actually asking us questions. And one of the biggest things that we noticed was their STEM is the computers in front of you was their STEM. It was the technology. STEM is not technology. And that is what, as a group, we came to a consensus. Technology isn't STEM. It's a philosophy. So next. So some of our goals from doing our analyzing the district, create a district STEM education mission and vision statement. The group worked very hard, and we were able to finalize this as a team right before we left for the summer. Each building within the district will create a building STEM core team that will meet at least once a month in order to collaborate, share ideas as it relates to STEM curriculum activities and planning for such. So we wanted to create, each building is going to create a PLC, and it'll be STEM based. And then the other thing that we're going to do is create and maintain a web-based resource devoted to K-12 STEM education and resources within 1 to 2 years. And we actually have something to show you at the end, okay? But this is what the team came up with, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think we met 3 or 4 times hammering out what a mission statement would look like and what the vision statement would look like, and everybody had to come to a consensus on this. But what we're asking for you guys later on tonight is to vote this in to approve this as the STEM K-12 education mission and vision statement. It's to provide students with learning opportunities that are built on the STEM core beliefs, which focus on higher order and critical thinking, engaged learning, authentic connections, and the use of technology as a tool. And the vision statement is preparing students to become innovators, utilizing 21st century skills to solve the problems of tomorrow. So this is what this team has worked hard for. I think we have over 10 meetings, and then the 3 meetings at the LIU that they've hashed out all this and what's it mean to have STEM education in Dover. So we're going to use this as our foundation and build upon. Jen, can you pull up the district website for us, please?
While we're pulling that up, I'd like to add that Mr. Benton's exactly right. We have phenomenal things happening in STEM all over the district. But I do have to thank Mr. Benton for his leadership, because what he's done is with this team pulling it together from all the buildings, so we have a district-wide STEM program that we can point at and look at and know exactly what we're doing. And we needed that person to do it, and Chuck did a really great job in working with them and doing that. And this team is phenomenal. They're going to do a great job with their PLCs in the building, bringing other teachers into the whole STEM and looking at the 21st century skills. So we're real excited and appreciate the hard work that Mr. Benton did.
So on our homepage here, if you look up there right off to the right where it says Dover Area School District, you'll see the word STEM to the right. If you click on that, so this is the formation of our web-based internet resource, okay? We got it started now. Here's our mission and vision statement, and we're hoping that you give a stamp of approval for that tonight, and we'll build off of this coming year. The committee is still, we're going to try to meet at least once a month. Probably still use Zoom video conference since we're all in different buildings, and continue working on this. So when you see this page next year this time, it'll be much fuller. You will actually see each building will have a link to what they're doing in each of their buildings, and resources for teachers. So that was some of the conversations that we're in right now, is what's that going to look like, and they're going to have a say. And we're probably going to use some of Schoology to go with it too, all right, for our resources for teachers. Do you guys have anything that you would like to add? I appreciate you guys coming.
Can I ask a question?
Sure thing.
Was there ever any discussion, I know a lot of STEM programs are going to STEAM programs, was that ever something that came up as a topic of discussion?
Good question, yes. Actually, what we found out when you go through the Carnegie method of doing the analyzing, there are so many acronyms for STEM, but the one thing that's recognized at the federal level with the Federal Department of Education and the Pennsylvania Department of Education is STEM. It's not that we're cutting out the arts. It's still a part of that, but that's the standard terminology nationally and even at the state level. Okay?
I also have a question.
Yes.
In the state, are you aware of any other districts that is creating a comprehensive STEM program K to 12, or is this kind of like an anomaly, I guess?
Well, there was, I think, our last meeting, and we'll still go back to the IU. There's a second round follow-up that we'll still attend this year, and we will also adjust our goals in January for the following year. There was still 6 school districts there at us, but we were all at different levels. So this method actually made you take a look at where you're at ground level. Where's your staff? And what do you have to do? We had enough pieces in place throughout the district that wasn't too hard to formalize to create this K-12 system. So I think we're a little bit ahead of the curve versus the other 5 school districts that were still there on the very last day. But I think they're wanting to be there. And it truly is up to the district on that analysis and where they want to take their district. So there was nobody saying anything. We presented what we're going to do, and we were the only one that had that particular plan for K-12. Okay? Yeah, go ahead.
There was we had the opportunity to visit Hanover School District. In Hanover, they have a comprehensive K through 12 program. So the IU set us up. We went there and we toured their facilities and saw what they were doing from kindergarten all the way to 12. And Wendy, you were there too.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember anything?
They started with simple coding at the elementary level, and they had maker spaces.
Right, and then you could see how it built
How
every
everything
level.
built as the
Right.
levels went up. And,
So we used a lot of their philosophy just to start planning for what we're going to do in our district. And I know Dr. Weisling had an opportunity to visit Elizabeth Ford. Oh, and you as well. And do they have something similar?
Yeah,
K through
they
12.
had the same kind of thing. And then what was so cool about Elizabeth Forward at the middle school was how all of these content areas came together to create a product. So it had the technology, and it had graphics, and it had movie studio, and all of those things that came together. That was the key of Elizabeth Forward's middle school, and that was really amazing. I was going to say, anything would you like to add? That was a great trip.
Yeah, I would like to add, if you don't mind. Bless you.
Thank you.
On our way back, as we were reflecting on what our visit consisted of and the different programs, I think most of us discussed that the items and the events and the activities that we were doing within our own school district here, we see pockets of all of that. They just had the advantage of being connected to some corporations and a big university that they were able to package it. But some of the things, so they had a lot of the bells and whistles, if you will, that come from that financial support and those partnerships. But the actual learning activities and the technology use and the things that they were developing and producing through their CTE and their tech departments, we're doing it right here too. So we are really doing fantastic things.
Does there anybody else have any other questions?
I do.
Yes.
Has there been any thought as to partnering with like your college? I know some of my friends homeschool, and they do with the homeschool kids a whole STEM autonomous robot type unit. So I didn't know if that was maybe a possibility or any. I don't know if they'll partner with school districts or.
We're not quite there yet. That is in right here
Okay.
on my mind. I can say that I just met with another post-secondary school within 30 minutes from us on sustainability. Really good partnership there. And sustainability is part of STEM too. So there's, yes, to answer you, it's just timing and waiting to see how some things fall, okay? And they're really anxious to see how the new high school works. And once we get through that phase and moving on. So the timeline is probably within 2 to 3 years, okay? Any other questions I can answer?
Okay.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Benton. Next, we have our first public comment period. This is a period for items on or off of the agenda. If you would have anything you would like to comment on, please come to the microphones and state your name and address for the record. Okay, seeing nobody on the move, we will move on to Board President's communication. We did, prior to this, have an executive session, and even before the executive session, we had an exciting time over at the new high school site doing our groundbreaking ceremony. I'm sure Mr. Perkins will be sharing some pictures from that soon. And then I did also want to mention that item 802, which was on tonight's agenda, related to a salary adjustment for an administrator, has been removed from the agenda tonight. So with that, I will move on to the approval of the minutes. So at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the July 17th, 2018 board meeting.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Questions or discussion? Hearing none, Mrs. Benko. Motion carries. Moving on to our consent agenda. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve all items listed under tonight's consent agenda.
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any questions or discussion on any of these items?
Just wondering if we could maybe refresh our memories on item, I believe it's 725, the memorandum of understanding. Actually, it's 26 there. Could we have a little bit of information on that before we vote on it?
We receive Title III money through the federal government, but we don't receive a lot. And Title III money comes to us as our English as a second language funding. We don't receive a lot. A lot of districts, if you don't have a number of students, don't receive a lot of money. So we enter into a consortium with the IU who takes our money, puts it all together, writes goals, and then they offer services back out to us. And Pat, correct me if I'm wrong, this year they're looking at professional development for ESL teachers and
Yeah, there's a variety of services that they provide to us. They have consultation, anything like that.
That we
Any
can
district
use.
that gets less than $10,000
Right.
in federal funds is asked to participate in the consortium. So all of the things that we do with the intermediate union are at no cost.
Another comment that I had there just in the obsolete listing, I guess it's a sign of the times, but two of the listings that were on, or one in particular, the Webster's Dictionary edition in there, it was like, that's hard to take, that something like that becomes obsolete, but kind of like the encyclopedias that we grew up with, it's a changing world that we're living in, so it's just hard to see that on the obsolete listing.
Well, I'll tell you, I went into an elementary classroom the other day, and in their little lockers, the dictionary was right on top. And I said, what the heck is a dictionary? And it was a 5th grade class who's going to have iPads. So don't worry, there are still a lot around. I thought, what in the world?
That's good to know. Also wanted to make mention there, pretty far down, at the next to the last item on the agenda under consent there, we received another donation to help with negative lunch balances, and this one came from North Salem from the staff there. So thank you to those who participated with that. And I know there's been other donations that we've seen. I think this is a real way for people to contribute and make an impact on our students who are, more needy. So we just want to say, I want to say thank you for everybody who was involved in that. And again, let's look for ways for people to contribute that way and make sure that message gets out there that this is a real need and an opportunity if our community members want to help fund that.
Could you, item 733, the resolution opposing the statewide EIT collection, for those in the room and those who may be watching, could you provide some additional information about that for us?
Sure. A bill is being floated right now. Currently, our earned income tax is collected by our taxpayer, our tax collector, and then is turned over to the district. A bill is being floated that the money would not be collected by the taxpayer, that will go to Harrisburg, and then we would get it back from Harrisburg. We are recommending that the board sign a resolution opposing that because, for example, if there's a budget impasse, then they have our money rather than we get our money directly. And just more specifics on that, the amount for us is $5.3 million.
So that's a significant amount of money that would just simply go to Harrisburg to come back to us, and there's no reason for it. So we are asking the board to agree and sign this resolution.
Thank you. Two other items to note. Item 716, that's a retirement. We do have one individual that has tendered their retirement notice, Rita Yost at the high school after 38 years of service. So thank you to her for all of that time and service to our district. And then under appointments, Mrs. Jacoby, do we have any of our new appointments here tonight with us? Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't.
No.
Okay.
I don't think so, but I want to make sure.
Well, welcome to them anyhow. Any other questions? Okay, hearing none. We have a motion and a second. Mrs. Benko.
I have shown that I have a motion to approve the STEM mission and vision.
I'm sorry, what? It says motion.
Mine's, I have a motion to approve the STEM mission and vision.
Oh, that must have been separate.
One minute, please. I apologize. 1 minute, please.
And the motion carries. Moving on to our human and fiscal resources area. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve job description number 2257, School Safety and Security Coordinator, Director of Public Relations and Child Accounting.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Questions or discussion? I will be abstaining from this vote as it affects a family member. And the motion carries. Okay, next on our agenda is the Capital Project Steering Committee. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve change order number 1 already. We just broke the ground for a water pipe relocation in accordance with Dover Township request in regards to construction of the new Dover Area High School as per the enclosure.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Questions or discussion? Mrs. Cream, could you provide some more background on this for the audience as well?
Sure.
We've just learned that we had to move the pipe 10 feet away from a wall that they are building. We were hoping it only had to be 1 foot, but it is 10 feet. So to move it away requires this. The problem is we could do, if it were earlier in the summer, we could do this, and but it would take about 5 days to be down with no water, and we're so close to school at this point. So the fix is a different way to do it. That cost is significantly more. And so we're hoping that we can do it on a Saturday morning where the buildings don't have water for about 2 days, or I'm sorry, 2 hours. So that's kind of what we're getting into now. The weather is delaying a lot of the building process, and so this is what we have to do to move forward with moving this water pipe.
Okay, any other questions or discussion? Mrs. Benko? And the motion carries. Okay, next, Dover Eagle Foundation. Mrs. Kroom, would you like to update everybody on the new situation there?
Sure. We met with
Gwen Murphy.
Thank you. It's been a long day. With Gwen Murphy, and we are discussing, we are at the point now where we are looking for people who are interested in serving on the board of directors of the Eagle Foundation. We are going to meet again at the end of September, and we are hoping to convene a board and set meetings by October, and then review all of the old minutes and review some of the things in front of them. Gwen is going to be talking to the staff on Thursday night and talking about how they can give to the Dover Eagle Foundation and how they can solicit for scholarships from them. So we are excited. We do see a new direction, and I think once we can get a board in place, we're going to move very quickly. So we're very excited about that.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Is the Dover Eagle Foundation currently up and running? If somebody wanted to make a donation, is that a viable option for them?
It is, but we are spending some time now revising our forms. The forms that was previously used didn't provide a whole lot of information, so Gwen is working with Mr. Perkins to create an online form that's easier to use and gets more information. So I think that will be done by Thursday. So I think once they hear on Thursday from her, they'll be ready to go for some grants.
So if somebody wanted to make a donation to some entity within the school, they could do it. That would be a logical vehicle for them to make it. It would then be tax deductible because that organization.
Yes. In the past, the only way that employees could give to the Dover Eagle Foundation was through the United Way, and then the United Way gave it back to us. Well, we are streamlining it, and Mrs. Benko is creating an online way to donate, as well as we could do through payroll deduction. So we're going to really educate the staff about that on Thursday, because really giving to the district, they can get back from the district. So we think that's a win-win for them and the district. So we're just trying to make it easier for everyone.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. York Adams Academy, Mr. Emig.
Our next meeting will be Tuesday, August the 28th.
Thank you. York County School of Technology, Mr. DeLauder.
I have nothing to report. We had no meeting in July. We'll have another meeting, I think, in 2 weeks.
Is there any different status regarding their building project at all? Anything move on that?
Nothing different than what I reported on. Okay. We might hear something again at our next meeting.
Okay. LIU Special Education, Mr. Deschaux.
I have nothing to report at this time.
Legislative, Mr. Rawhauser.
I have nothing to report on either one of them.
Okay, nothing for York Learning Center either. PSBA, Mrs. Brinton.
The only thing, they just opened, and of course I just had it up and can't find it now, nominations for PA Education Innovation Awards. PSBA is accepting nominations recognizing innovative leaders in public schools in 3 categories. One is Innovative Board Award, the second is Innovative School Leader Award, third Innovative Teacher Award. These awards are presented annually as part of the Excellence in Public Education Leadership and Awards Dinner held in October, which is October 17th this year in Hershey. And each award will include financial gift and other recognition, and nominations are accepted through August 31st. And if anybody would like to nominate, go to the PSBA website, and then there's also a name to contact as well.
Thank you. Any questions for Mrs. Brenton? Okay, Dover Industrial Development Committee, Mrs. Herman.
Just that they're still working on the business association, and members of the committee, which is me, we had to go out and contact several businesses, each of us, and ask them if they'd be interested in joining this business association. That they're going to have a breakfast to get these people together and talk about what they want out of an association. So the district is involved in that. We're a business too. And next meeting is next Wednesday.
Questions for Mrs. Herman? Okay, Superintendent's Report, Mrs. Kroom.
Okay, first, a couple things, and then I'd like to take a little bit of time to educate and share with you some of the things we've worked on this summer and some of the initiatives that we are moving forward into the school year. First, just to let you know, we had a wonderful induction program on Monday for our new teachers. That went Monday and yesterday, and you are all invited on Thursday to our opening day. We're very excited to have the staff come back. And then, of course, next Tuesday, kindergarten 7th and 9th come, and on Wednesday, everyone else. I'd also like to, since she is sitting out here, and I did share this in my board report last week, Mrs. Cheryl Gutschall, a 20-year veteran elementary school teacher in the Dover Area School District, has been named a winner of one of Judith's Reading Room's board option prizes for her creative and technologically based environment education program for 5th graders. If you have not been out to environmental ed in the spring, you have to go. The activities for the kids are amazing. Her outstanding contribution to freedom through literacy will be acknowledged at an awards dinner open to the public on September 12th at 6 p.m. So we are very proud of Cheryl. Yes. Jen, would you put the PowerPoint up, please, or the document? PDF. Okay, so as you know, we were really busy ending last school year and going into this school year. So this is not an exhaustive list, but I want to share some things that you're going to be hearing about and seeing as we go into the next school year. So first, I kind of separated them into different areas. Instructional expectations. If you remember, last year we changed the calendar to get some Act 80 days in May, and every teacher in the district was trained on APL instructional strategies. And APL instructional strategies really focuses on having teachers work with or teach students in a way that it's collaborative. The kids do the work. They work with others, it's hands-on, it helps with classroom management. It is just a great training, and it went very, very well. We had the first 2 days in May, and we will have our 3rd day in January. So out of that, what we did is worked with a group of teachers and came up with 6 lesson planning components that every single teacher is required to plan with. And they can choose their method of planning. Many are doing it online with some online planning books, and they can do it on paper if they want. But, and I'm not going to get too much into this now, but some of the expectations are they are required to have a bell ringer, which is defined as previously learned material. So when students come in, they immediately do a bell ringer, which is a nice review. It can be PSSA prep. They are required to have an agenda in their classroom and go through the agenda with kids. Research is clear that when students know what to expect in their class time, that they focus more. And there are a number of other things, summarizing, ticket out the door, those kinds of things, and collecting that data. So we're really excited about that next year. In addition to that, as you know, starting yesterday, we started handing out 2,000 and something full-size iPads to grades 3 to 12, grades 6 and up, or grade 7 and up, grades 3, 4, 5, and 6. We'll keep them in the building. So what what we have done is teachers are expected to use the iPads every day in every class for assessment, instruction, and student activities. And where teachers and how teachers will do that depends on them. So if there's somebody who they're very comfortable with this, they will just run with this. And if there's someone who they are very nervous, that's okay. Because our ILT teachers are trained and ready to roll with them and help them move along. And the administrators, we're going to monitor all of this hard work by the teachers by doing monthly walkthroughs in every teacher's classroom and looking for these expectations and just commenting back to teachers on what we are seeing and what we like. And we just think that's going to be great. And it's really a way for us to start to kind of bring everyone together on instruction. The second piece is data protocol, which we definitely did start last year, but this year we, Dr. Maloney has created a data protocol that every single teacher is going to use. And on our 3-hour early dismissal days, everyone will be following this protocol. It won't matter what data you're looking at, whether you're going to look at the CDT data or whether it's MAP data or whether it's common assessment data, it doesn't matter. They will all follow the same protocol. They will answer questions about their data. They will make predictions about kids. They will be identifying kids who need additional help. So that's going to be excellent. In addition, we are going to begin reviewing our unit assessments and our interventions in our instruction to make sure that we are catching kids who are struggling. As you know, curriculum writing, you just approved a whole bunch of curriculum. We're very excited. Well, that process is going to continue this year, and we've said this a number of times. Dr. Maloney has a very aggressive calendar, so there's going to be a lot of work done there. Okay, PBIS and behavior. That is part of why we brought the athletic and building handbooks to you. We want to begin the process, and those handbooks are going to be a work in progress. We know we need to improve them, but we need to get expectations down in writing that we are sharing with everyone, both students and teachers, and this is going to allow us really look at how we look at behavior, what our positive behavior situation is. Every building teaches expectations of the kids at the start of the year, and we are going to really dive into behavior data, social emotional data. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more, and we're really going to start making very informed decisions about students and some behavior interventions they might need. Next, improve communication. In July, I worked with the principals and we rolled out its administrative norms for improved communication. So for example, teachers can expect to hear from their principal within 24 hours of an email. We are putting some things in place. We're going to see how it goes. Parents should expect to hear from any administrator within 2 days. Students, say at the high school, should expect to hear immediately. So we have put some norms in place at the entire administrative team from building all the way up to me and the entire district office as to norms for improved communication. Additionally, we scheduled this year district-wide parent conferences, which we do every year, but this year they will be October 24th, the afternoon and the evening, and all day the 25th and the evening of the 25th. Every building is offering a conference to every child. They will have different formats in different buildings, but our goal is to get parents into our building. During this time, we are going to be having some sessions for parents, some information sessions. We want to have some tables. Kirsten is working very hard to get a number of social agencies to be available in each of the buildings. So we also want to educate parents as they come into the building. District branding. We have started on this district branding. A number of us have met as a committee with Jostens, and we are looking at how they can help us brand our district. We're not real far down the road yet, but our goal is to get this up and running prior to the high school building opening. So everything we do is branded, and across the district, we are using the same eagle, and there'll be a number of eagles we can use, but that we are kind of staying in, we all have the same kind of colors and wording. Technology, as I said before, we have full-size iPads in grades 3 to 12. Grades 3 to 6, they will stay in their room, and grades 7 and up will go home. And as I said before, there will be teacher and student use expectations for use. And finally, and probably the most important thing on this list is our student and family support. As you are probably aware, after every in-service, we ask the teachers, what did you like? What do you need more of? And the number one answer was, we need more information on training on how to help our kids. So we really thought this through and really reflected, and a number of these things, some of them have been here, but a number of them are new. So the first one, Jimmy Cassis. Jimmy Cassis is a nationally known author, wrote the book Culturize. I brought it with me. Okay, he is going to be our in-service presenter in September, and he writes about culture in a building. He writes about how we treat each other, how we treat our kids. What the teachers don't know yet is after that day, they're all getting the book. And we're all doing a book study this whole year on this. And every principal's leading a book study, but we really are going to dive into each of our individual building cultures and our culture as a district, how we treat students, and we are going to begin kind of relearning some information about our students, those that are low income, those that come from families that struggle. So we're going to have a lot of discussions about this. We are bringing in a social emotional screener this year. This is a screener for kindergarten, 7th, and 9th, and the purpose of this is to identify students' emotional state of being to see if we can identify some issues prior to them becoming an issue for a child. As you can imagine, and as I'm sure you know, we deal with a lot of emotional and mental health issues with students, and this screener is going to help us kind of hopefully catch it sooner and quicker. We believe that this is going to help us in our behavior of the kids, and really keep things that develop, and you kind of don't know they're there from developing bigger. So we're very excited about that. At the secondary level, they're going to be very busy. They're having trauma-informed training, and when we talk about trauma, we're not talking about a car accident or a head injury. What we're talking about is a trauma that all children have a trauma that they deal with. So for example, if a child's parent is an alcoholic, or if they're a drug addict, or their father died, those are all traumas that students deal with. So the secondary folks are going to be trained on how to deal and how to identify behaviors when kids are showing us this trauma. Additionally, the secondary school is going to have some additional suicide prevention training this year. We are required to give suicide prevention training every 5 years. However, this suicide prevention training is really going to focus into more hands-on things that we can do and look at in our students. Elementary, responsive classroom has been around for a couple years, but we brought a bunch of teachers together, and they went to Maryland for 5 days, and a couple administrators, and they recommitted themselves to responsive classroom. Responsive classroom is a wonderful program in which, for example, it starts the day with morning meeting, in which the teachers take the students through morning meeting. After lunch, they come back, and the teachers can lead them in a discussion to see if stuff happened on the playground. It's a great training. We're going to retrain our buildings, and we are recommitting to all of the pieces that make responsive classrooms great. Safe Touches is a program that is being offered to us from the county. The principals are working with the guidance counselors, and grade 2 will get that. Check and Connect is a tier 3 intervention excuse me, for students who are really struggling in school, especially behaviorally. And each principal's been trained on it, and we are going to be training teams. And it's for those that are struggling with behavior, it's just a process of we kind of put them things in writing, we check in on them, we assign a teacher to them, and we collect data on them to just kind of keep an eye on them. Both the secondary schools have a SAP process that's required by PDE. However, this year we are revising that SAP process. We are looking at all of our forms. We don't feel we've been real effective, and we do have new personnel from our liaison, who were very excited to kind of have a new look at our process. And this is when students deal with drugs and alcohol. This is the process that we send the name to the SAP team, and the SAP team then does some data collection on that student to see if there's some alcohol, drug, mental health issues going on there. And then finally, community aid partnership, which you are aware of. Each building except for the IS will have a community aid bin for clothing, and we will get money back for every pound that teachers donate, and we get free gift cards for our kids to go to the community aid store in Hanover to buy clothes. So we are really focusing on this. We are not letting the academics go by any means. We're moving forward, but we also recognize that if we don't take care of the social emotional parts of our kiddos, that everything we do with academics is not going to work. So we really, really are moving forward with this year. So those are just some of our initiatives that I wanted to share with you. Any questions?
Okay, thank you. Next, we'll move on to our miscellaneous period. This is for any other comments or observations from our board members. Does anybody have anything else tonight?
Yes. Do we have any signed contracts for Carltown School?
At this time, we do not. Washington Township is performing a assessment, an environmental assessment of the property as we speak.
Well, not to be nasty, but this sounds like a tape recording we've heard for the last 2 or 3 years. We're starting year 8 of the school being empty. It's costing us roughly $15,000, $20,000 a year. So I move, we look at hiring an auctioneer to auction the school off. If they're interested, they can buy it. We have an auctioneer that graduated from Dover. There's several other ones around in the county. And if we don't want to have it over winter, it's time to move. I was going to do it last month, but I thought, well, I'll give another month. So I move that we hire an auctioneer.
I second the motion.
Questions or discussions from our other board members?
While I understand your reasoning behind it, I think I'm not prepared to make that decision tonight. I think this is a last minute decision, and it's something that I personally need to weigh the pros and cons on doing this. So I am not in favor of doing a vote this evening.
I can understand. Will you have any other ideas on how we can do it?
No, I don't. Like I said, I understand the reason, but like I said, I just need to do some analysis and do some pros and cons and figure out if this is going to be the best way for us to proceed. And like I said, I just don't want to spring this, you know, at the last minute here.
Well, and didn't we have some discussion last month about, letting this process play out in terms of them coming in and doing the assessment and, I mean, didn't we
Yes.
give that approval?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right,
Yep.
so I kind of feel like we need to allow that process to play out and see what they come back with the assessment, see if they, at that point, want to make an offer. I mean, I'm not opposed to it, but not for it yet. Chuck, I need more information.
I just brought it up. The bottom line is something don't happen soon, we're going to have it another year.
We can get some information as to what that would look like and bring that back next month and share that with you if you wish. From an auctioneer's perspective, what does that look like? And because I think you need to get PD approval and all those things, so we can gather some information.
Does that have to be PD approved before we could auction it?
I don't know what we have to do, so we can get some information.
Oh, I'm saying bring it up, it's been kicked down the road. It's starting 8 years now. And it's cost the district over $100,000 so far. And we keep getting reports, and I understand what you're saying about as far as, the township. But we've had this now for over 2 years where this group's looking and doing studies, and this group's looking and doing studies. And the end result's the same. So that's why I just brought it up like I did. So if you want to amend it and put it off till next month, well, I don't have a problem with that, but I just figure it's an issue that we need to address more fluently than we have been.
I don't disagree with the concept either, Mr. Rohauser. I do think we need to try and bring this to an end at some point. It does seem to be dragging on forever. I'm with the others, though, that I feel we need to do some more investigation before I can commit to just hiring an auctioneer to come in. I think we need to do some analysis on this process, but sooner the better, if we can start investigating that more. We do have a motion and a second, though, so we will have to vote on this. So if there's any other comments or questions from board members? Okay, hearing none, Mrs. Benko. Okay, and the motion fails. Okay. Anybody else for any other comments or observations?
Just a follow-up question to one of the consent agenda items that we approved earlier. It's item 722, the job descriptions. I know we've been doing a lot of job description details and that sort of thing in recent months, but are any of these positions actually open positions right now, or are they currently all filled, just a detailed job description? Okay.
Yep, it's just really a realignment of duties to the right person.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask that earlier. I apologize.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
The only thing I'll say is on my motion, I have no problem with the way it turned out, but we have the board's attention, superintendent's attention, and the business manager as to we need to get more information out here and accomplish something.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, next is our next public comment period. This is a 2-minute period for items on or off of the agenda. If you have anything to comment on, please come to the microphones and state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Dave Nelson, district employee. Reason I came up tonight is the past several years, Mr. Cook has approached me and said he'd like to do some spruce up work on our flower beds and some of our courtyards and such. And again, this year he came to me a month or so ago and floated an idea and said, I'm gonna, and I know you had help years before. I'm not so sure if he had any this year or did have help. I'm not quite positive of that, but I just want to say thank you from the district. He did a fantastic job on North Salem High School and Dover Elementary. So I saw pictures, they looked fantastic, and I really appreciate the help. So thank you on behalf of the district.
I did see what Mr. Cook took out in that truck from the high school. That was several loads that went out in the truck. It looks very nice, Steve. Thank you for your work on that. Okay, our future meetings. Our next meetings are this Thursday, August 16th. We have board committee meetings at 6 p.m. and the board planning meeting at 7 p.m. And then our regular board meeting will be September 18th at 7 o'clock p.m. So if we have nothing else for the order tonight, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, yes? Yes? Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.